In the summer of 1871, the seaside town of Brighton had a problem it could not explain. People were falling ill after eating chocolates. Not one person, not two, dozens. The chocolates came from a well-regarded confectioner on the high street named John Maynard. His shop was respectable, his reputation was good, and yet, somehow, something in his chocolates was making people violently ill. Then, in June of that year, a 4-year-old boy named Sidney Barker ate a chocolate cream from Maynard's shop while on holiday with his family. He did not recover. The Brighton coroner ruled accidental death. John Maynard was exonerated, and a woman named Christiana Edmunds sat in the inquest as a witness and testified against the very shopkeeper whose chocolates she herself had poisoned. Christiana Edmunds was born in Margate, Kent, in 1828, the eldest daughter of a local architect, privately educated, respectable, by all visible measures a genteel woman of independent means living quietly with her widowed mother in Brighton. Below the surface, her family history was one of severe mental illness. Her father had lost his mind before his early death. Her brother died in a lunatic asylum. One of her sisters took her own life. Christiana herself had been diagnosed with hysteria in her 20s. But in Victorian Brighton, these were private matters, hidden, managed, never spoken of in polite company. In the late 1860s, Christiana became a patient of a local physician named Dr. Charles Beard. What began as a professional relationship became, on her side at least, something considerably more intense. She wrote him letters, frequent, fervent, full of what the newspapers would later describe as terms of endearment. He told her to stop. She continued. He told her again. She continued again. Dr. Beard was a married man. He had a wife, Emily, and a life entirely separate from Christiana Edmunds. He did not reciprocate what she felt. He may not have fully understood how far she had taken it in her own mind. In September of 1870, Christiana arrived at the Beard household with a gift, a chocolate cream offered to Emily Beard with warmth and courtesy. Emily ate it. Within hours, she was violently ill. She recovered, but the experience shook her. Dr. Beard suspected Christiana, but he had no proof, and in Victorian England, accusing a genteel woman of poisoning without proof was not done. He said nothing. He simply allowed her to stop visiting. He hoped the matter was over. It was not over. In 1871, Christiana began visiting John Maynard's confectionery shop on a regular basis. She would purchase chocolate creams, take them home, and use a syringe to inject strychnine into the soft centers. She then returned the chocolates to Maynard, exchanging them for other items, and the poisoned sweets went back into his display case, indistinguishable from the rest. She obtained her strychnine initially from a local chemist named Isaac Garrett, telling him she needed it to control stray cats. When she became concerned about being recognized, she began paying young boys from the neighborhood small sums of money to make the purchases for her. Different boys, different chemists, different days. She was methodical, she was careful, and for months, nobody noticed. Several people in Brighton fell ill over the spring of 1871. Stomach cramps, violent vomiting. The symptoms came on quickly and then passed. No one connected the episodes. No one thought to connect them to chocolate. Then Sidney Barker died. The 4-year-old boy's death changed the scale of what Christiana had done. The coroner ruled it accidental, but Christiana now faced a new problem. The inquest had drawn attention to Maynard's shop. People were asking questions. Suspicion, however vague, was beginning to circle. Her response was extraordinary. She wrote anonymous letters to Sidney Barker's father. She urged him to prosecute John Maynard. She painted herself as a concerned citizen outraged by the verdict. She appeared at the inquest as a witness and testified that she too had become ill after purchasing from Maynard. giving evidence against an innocent man for a crime she had committed herself. She escalated her poisoning campaign, sending parcels of poisoned chocolates and cakes by post to prominent citizens across Brighton, including, again, Emily Beard, who fell violently ill for the second time. She was not protecting herself. She was enjoying it. The Brighton police eventually made the connection between the poisonings and the chocolates. They traced the strychnine purchases. They found the boys she had paid. And in August of 1871, 5 months after Sidney Barker's death, Christiana Edmunds was arrested. Her arrest provoked immediate and intense public fury. The town of Brighton had been poisoned by one of its own. Not a desperate criminal from the slums, but a middle-class woman of independent means who had done it for love, for obsession, because a married doctor had told her to stop writing him letters. The trial was moved from Brighton to London's Old Bailey because of fears she could not receive a fair hearing in the town she had terrorized. The prosecution was confident. The evidence was overwhelming. Witnesses confirmed she had purchased strychnine. Her handwriting matched the anonymous letters. The boys she had paid gave testimony. Dr. Beard himself finally came forward. The jury took 1 hour to convict her of the murder of Sidney Barker and the attempted murder of 3 others. The recorder sentenced her to death. Christiana Edmunds stood in the dock and announced that she was pregnant. A medical examination was conducted immediately. The claim was false. There was no pregnancy. But the claim forced the authorities to look at the case again. Christiana's defense had argued throughout the trial that she was insane, pointing to her family history of mental illness, her delusional fixation on Dr. Beard, the irrational and self-defeating nature of her poisoning campaign. The government now agreed. Her sentence was commuted. She would not hang. She was transferred to Broadmoor Criminal Lunatic Asylum in early 1872. She remained there for 35 years. In the census records of 1881 and 1891, she appears by name as an inmate. No longer Christiana Edmunds of Brighton, just a number, a name in a ledger. A woman who had poisoned a town because a doctor would not love her back. She died at Broadmoor on the 19th of September, 1907. She was 78 years old. Sidney Barker was 4. The Morning Post, writing at the conclusion of her trial, called it, and these were their exact words, one of the strangest and most horrible stories possibly ever told in a court of justice. They were not wrong.